So with the war with Iran now nearing 4 weeks, we have been covering every angle of the story, from the military strategy to intelligence gathering to what is next. Is there an off-ramp? How it's affecting Iranians inside the country, in the region as well, and here in the U.S. So with that, it made me wonder, how do we add some hope, some light, some laughter amidst it all? So I turned to Iranian-American comedian Max Amini, who I sat down with just a couple of days ago.
Every Persian kid that ever came from Iran, when you'd ask them, are you good at anything, they would say, yes, I'm the best. It's a cultural thing.
Max has been in the business for years. He has sold out over 150 shows across 19 countries, and he's known for his crowd work.
I say, who's single? Mom claps so hard. Mom, how old are you? 84 years old, clapping for a new boyfriend. 84, baby! Love you, Mom. Age is just a number. Her spirit is so young, she's like, let's go to comedy, I want to laugh and find a new boyfriend.
He literally just had one of the biggest moments of his career, making history as the first Iranian-American ever to headline a sold-out show at Madison Square Garden. Normally, Max veers away from talking about politics, but at MSG, he actually spoke out against the Iranian regime's crackdown on the protests inside Iran in late January, calling it, and he said this, the biggest revolution in our time. Then a couple of days later, the United States and Israel launched a war on Iran. So what is it like continuing to make American audiences laugh amidst this war happening in his home country? I asked Max that, along with a lot of other questions. Here's my interview with Max Amini. Hi, Max.
Hi, Yas. Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. So you are at a real high point in your career, to say the least. Randomly selected, received 17 million views on YouTube. I mentioned you just sold out Madison Square Garden as the first Iranian-American to headline there, so that means you beat me to it, by the way. Meanwhile, you couple that with what is actually happening in the country of origin for both of us, Iran, this war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. What is kind of this moment like for you? How do you reconcile those two feelings?
It's amazing the way you put that whole thing together. And honestly, I would say it's a time to be alive. And with that statement, it's a time for all of us to find how can we help one another, as a community during difficult times, and really try to, promote unity, because there's a lot of divide, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of, and so all of us, I believe, could be helpful to create some sort of awareness and good vibes. I'm doing a lot of big projects now, and I have the ear of a lot of international people out in the world. So I hope I can be a small element of positivity out there, and just really be next to my people, be the voice of my people, and just do my part.
You are not a political comedian, right? That is not how you coin yourself necessarily. But in that MSG show, which you sold out, it was just days before the U.S. and Israel launched on Iran. And you spent time talking about the protests in Iran that happened in late January. And so there's all this laughter, and there's all this riffing, and there's all this back and forth. And then you say, play the video. And you show images of Iranians facing a lot of violence. And, the battles that they were in late January.
When they asked for something simple, a voice, a choice, a future, they were met with force. Live ammunition against unarmed young people.
Why did you decide to do that?
I felt like I have a duty to represent the people of Iran. And I felt like I had a duty to tell the people that have no idea what's going on that side of the world, people that are not watching the news coming out of Iran. I felt like as an Iranian, I had a massive platform and it was the best opportunity to do something meaningful. And frankly, to be in that stadium and watch the energy of the people receiving this video, it was phenomenal. It was extremely touching. People had tears coming down their face. They walked out with a very heavy sort of emotion, which was very meaningful because we had a night of laughter and combined with something greater, something about humanity, and I think that's magic. And it was also fascinating how so many people really have no idea. They don't know. Right. And even today,
it's not like you just have Iranians in your audience. You have people of all different backgrounds that are coming to your shows.
I have a very small percentage of Iranians in my audience. Especially Madison Square Garden, I would say maybe 10% of 20,000 people were Iranians. So this was a full-on international American audience. And again, it's so wonderful to be able to do this because I realized people had no idea. The messages I got were so beautiful. And people were saying, thank you, we had no idea. And they started doing their own research and looking into stuff. And so in that sense, it was great to do something like that. And I'm continuously thinking of ways to truly and authentically being able to do something. And we're all, not just me, I think a lot of us are doing our best out there to create awareness and some sort of positive message.
You did interviews at one point with Reza Pahlavi, who is right now considered to be a potential transitional leader if the regime falls inside Iran, the former crown prince of Iran, of course, for those that don't know, with Ali Karimi, who is an Iranian soccer player and activist as well. Why did you choose to do those interviews?
I didn't choose. They chose to interview with me. As an artist who also have a background in directing and producing, I've had multiple documentaries made for different networks. At the time, I had a docuseries on Voice of America called Diaspora. And Ali and his team were aware of this project, and the project was very touching, very meaningful. And Ali was looking for someone that has no stake in this game. He's a neutral sort of personality. And so he wanted to talk to me, meaning Ali was in hiding at the time in a very difficult position. And his team reached out to me and said, Ali has decided that he wants to sit down with you. And I was sort of surprised. I understood why once we got to talk more. And, the Iranian government was after him. They wanted to, they had a fatwa on his head.
مخلصی هستی و مرسی از این همصحبتیت.
ممنونم، مرسی ماکس عزیز. ممنونم که این وقت رو به من دادین و سلام عرض میکنم خدمت تمام بینندگان عزیز.
He was in a very, very difficult place, and that guy sacrificed his entire life for his country. He's a very honorable human. He's somebody that we can all be inspired by. And when I sat across him, my entire intention was just to capture him, his soul, and his voice for his people. And that was that project.
What about Pahlavi? Why did you sit down with him?
After that project, I was very lucky that Crown Prince of Iran congratulated me on the project I made with Ali. I've known him for a few years before that. But he was very happy that I was able to create that project with Ali and make it happen at a very vital time for that movement in Iran, the life movement, freedom movement that was happening. So we had a talk, and he asked me, he said, if we sit down and have an interview conversation, what do you think the story should be? What would you like to capture? What do you think is needed? And I said, I believe people should get to know who you are in a deeper, more personal way. And he said, explain more. And I said, I don't think people know your personality and how intelligent, how kind, and how pure your intentions are. And also, he has a strength, in my opinion, when it comes to his sort of point of view and sticking to his integrity.
فرصتی بودم که برخلاف آنچه که مردم تصور میکنن یا یک برداشت از قبل دارن راجع.
And at the very end, when I released that project, when you look at the comments, you exactly see you see exactly what we intended to make. Every comment was like, wow, we got to know him so much deeper, and people felt like they had an opportunity to connect with him.
Listen, Max, there's only room for one journalist in this interview. And you're taking interviews away from me, okay?
Oh, no.
Just FYI, understand. No, but joking aside, listen, you've sat with Pahlavi, you have sat with Kadimi. If you had anybody from the current regime at this point come to you and say, well, I want to sit with you. We have them on all the time on our networks. Would you ever take that opportunity to do that?
Good question. I would say no. And the reason I say that, Yas, there is a common personality. There's something common between Ali Karimi and Crown Prince of Iran. And both of them are very good people. Just forget about the titles. They're just the personality you sit across them. They're good people. They're very honest. They're very humble. They're very easy to talk to. Like you just said, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a politician. I capture human connection. I am the type of person that I like to dig in and connect to your depth. I want to learn about your upbringing. I like to learn your perspective in life. I'm a curious child that wants to learn. Okay, and those characters were so. I knew I can make a meaningful connection sitting down with them. But when you say sitting across a politician from Iran, I'm not equipped. I don't like to believe that I am the person that is skilled to do that, because those conversations are not straightforward. Those are politicians, winging and swinging topics and trying to get away with things, and that's not my world.
When it comes to the way in which you do your shows, right? When I said, crowd participation, is this changing the ways in which that you're interacting with the crowd, especially because there's this elephant in the room, right? You're an Iranian. You're an Iranian-American. Yeah. You're an Iranian-American comedian. You're up on this stage. The United States is at war with Iran. Is it changing the way in which you're communicating on that stage with people?
Well, never. I'm always authentically myself. And you got to really come to the venues and see the shows. When you see my show, you realize there's multiple different topics that I sort of go in, wave in and out. Right. My comedy is interactive, but also there's a massive part of my comedy is storytelling. I try to stay very authentic, meaning when I walk on that stage, as an artist, I think every real experienced performer finally discovers the power of being yourself, speaking from your own voice, and that is what gives you sort of your true identity on stage. And so when I am experiencing something very heavy in my life, I go on stage, I perform my comedy, I talk about what I'm dealing with, I talk about difficult things that are happening that day with my family, with my relationships, in this case, with my country. And so I have a very close and personal relationship with my fans. My fans, when you see the interaction with my fans, they feel like they know me. They're my friends. They sort of know how my psyche even is. And so when they're in that room, we're bonding and we're going through these emotions together. It's not like, here's a segment, stop here, pause, now we're going to do this. It's just me and you hanging out right now. We talk about this topic and we go into something else, but it's all natural and heart to heart.
You're trying to keep it personal the entire time.
Trying to keep it honest.
So much of my career, Max, has been trying to build a bridge, right? Every time someone would say, well, why do you want to be a journalist? I'm like, well, I grew up between two worlds as an Iranian-American. And so often it was the Middle East that was in the headlines for me in the news. And my parents were so focused on the news. And so part of my motivation in becoming a journalist was to build a bridge. In doing these interviews, in making the documentary that you mentioned, Diaspora, what do you want people to know about Iranians? What are some of the misconceptions you feel as if are out there about where we are from and who we are?
Look, I personally had identity crisis growing up. When I was in high school, when I was in college, I didn't want people to know I'm Iranian. I didn't think it was cool. And when I went to college, I became an actor, comedian, filmmaker. At one of my workshops, the teacher, the director asked me, why do you want to, become a filmmaker? What type of stories you want to tell? And I was very young. I was in my early 20s. I just said, I want to make Iranians cool. And he said, why? I said, because we're such fun, awesome people, and no one is showing that side of us. And so, for years, this has been my passion.
In a Persian household, there's Persian rugs everywhere. You walk in the living room, the walls, we have Persian rug. You go in the bathroom, the shower drape is a Persian rug. You go to the computer, the little mouse pad's a cute little Persian rug.
When you watch me on stage telling my stories, it's not necessarily an Iranian story. Iranian is just my race, but on stage I'm a comedian. I talk about so many different topics and countries and cultures in life, and I'm very versed on cultures. I spend a lot of time learning about different people, so I dive into those topics. But the most beautiful thing is I hear from other people, hey, I met this African guy, and he came up to me and I said, I'm Iranian, and they were like, oh my God, do you know Max Amini? And I was like, yes. So now I'm the cool factor for these people. I mean, I love that.
You're the guy.
Back in the days, kebab was the thing. If a Chinese person. Yeah, if a Chinese person will meet with an Iranian and we say, I'm Iranian, the Chinese person will go, oh, I like the kebab. Now they go, I like Max Amini. So I am the new kebab.
You're the entry point. That's funny.
The kebab of comedy.
I can totally empathize with you because I wanted my name to be Lisa when I was young. I wanted no snacks. Like, I wanted no Persian snacks and no Iranian snacks in any of my lunch boxes. I was, very anti being identified as anything but straight up American, and wishing I didn't have a unibrow that was giving me away in my teen years.
Well, I had all of those. I had the unibrow, and I had the smelly kebab and onion in my lunchbox, which made it very difficult to make friends. But somehow we survived, and that's why I'm a comedian and you're a journalist.
Yeah, exactly. Survived and thrived. Quick lightning round, Max. What's the worst joke you've ever told where you bombed?
The worst joke I've ever told? I remember one night at Comedy Union It's a black comedy club. I started my career at black comedy clubs. I did a lot of crowd work, and I was a young comedian, and I wasn't that experienced. And in the middle of my crowd work, I was struggling. I couldn't get the laughs. 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines in, all of a sudden the whole crowd started booing me. In my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna let that get into me. I'm gonna win him over. So I try a little bit. I go, hold on. I have another. I say another line, falls flat, and they boo me so much. I see the comedy club owner. He's going like this. Get off stage, get off. And then I look around and just like defeated. I put the mic down. And I walk, and this particular comedy club, you have to walk through the crowd to get out. I mean, this was the longest walk of my life.
A roast is happening. Who's going to roast you? Which comedian is roasting you?
Which comedian? Comedian. I'll invite my really good friend comedians that they know me. Dane Cook, Rob Schneider, bunch of, Whitney Cummings, a few female comedians. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. But that would be a
good
fun
list.
idea.
So I Googled whether or not you were had a girlfriend or a partner, and it said you're single. How do you explain being single to your Iranian mother?
Thankfully, my mom is very, very open-minded and non-Persian when it comes to this topic. She never really puts pressure on me. God bless my father's soul. My dad loved to see me married. He mentioned it a few times. He's like, what's happening? When are you going to make a move? And at the time, I had a girlfriend, and he really wanted me to marry her. And I would say, I always tell my parents, look, I'm doing so much. I'm living a life which I feel very, I feel fulfilled in my heart and what I'm doing in life. I don't feel like I need to be married. So once I feel like I have someone that I have a true connection and I met the right person, I'll make the move. And I've been saying this for the last 10 years.
You hear that, ladies? He's looking for you. He's looking for the right one. You were supposed to be heading to Dubai right about now. And then on to Turkey. You've canceled those shows. An impact of the war. Do you think there's any kind of long-term impact in the work that you are doing right now because of this war?
Well, I don't know. I hope not. I hope the war ends sooner than later, on a positive note. But I am continuously moving forward, presenting my work, talking about my country, creating awareness. And we're all of us, American, Iranian, worldwide, everybody is hoping for the best and for this conflict to end, and we see a better, more peaceful world.
You want to do a comedy tour to Iran eventually one day?
Yeah, it's always the dream, to play in your motherland, right?
Yeah.
But frankly, a few people mentioned that this past few days, and I said, I just don't think of something like that. I am so consumed by the news, and I'm so worried about my country, my people, how things are going to pan out, that truly we're not there yet. But once we have a beautiful country on a positive sort of rail, not only I will perform there, I'll do everything and anything I can to be a part of building that country's infrastructure by creating shows, donating, promoting, whatever I can do.
Max Amini, thank you.
Thank you so much, Yas. This was fun.
All right, that is going to do it for us at Here's the Scoop from NBC News. I'm Yasmin Vossoughian. We'll be back on Monday with whatever the weekend may bring. And if you like what you heard and you saw, press the subscribe button. We'll see you Monday.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.